Thank you, Salil. I think we can start off. I hope Kulpreet will join us soon. And I can see a few heads here, so that's good. We are not all alone. Salil, there are many people writing. Okay, lots of people are writing, and so many books are coming out. So there's a lot of written content out there. And every author would love to see their book on film. Having said that, knowing that there's content out there and authors willing to see their books on screen, very few books actually get translated to the screen. Okay, so, and of course, a lot of books do get optioned also, but they never see the light of day. So, what do you think about this whole process? Because you've got 2 series coming out, and your books have been optioned, and everything. So, just tell me what you think about this whole process. No, it's not on.
Okay, the thing is that yes, there are lots of books out there, and one of the things that around about 2016, 2017, what happened is that I think the OTT wave was also sort of coming in, and lots of producers sort of realized that books are ready material, and books are something that can be exploited. So instead of getting all these new scripts etc written, why don't we pick up some of these books, option them, and sort of try to throw it in the OTT ring, or even on screen, that kind of thing. So I think just before the pandemic, from 2016 to around 2019, I think was the peak period. Lots and lots of books from everywhere got optioned. Okay, optioning was something which is quite easy. What most producers did is that pay the author about 20%, declare a big value, give them about 20%, option the book for about a year or something like that, maybe sometimes 18 months. And optioning means what? Either we'll make something out of it or we may not. In case it is not used, or it doesn't turn to screen, then they'll probably, the rights go back to you. That is what optioning was all about. And so producers found it relatively easy to sort of do this optioning and ask authors to sort of give their material. Unfortunately, the pandemic sort of struck, and though there was a lot of development which happened during the pandemic, especially because people were sitting at home, and OTT kind of clicked everywhere. People were able to watch, and this sort of gave rise to this lot of development. Unfortunately, what happened is that therefore there is a glut right now, and nothing is coming on screen. The other thing is producers and OTT and everyone sort of realize the limitations of adapting a book. That it's not as easy as that. It's not as if it's there, so you just simply adapt it for screen, that kind of thing. So that, I think, these are some of the main problems that have occurred. The entire process today is such that today books are not getting optioned that easily.
Yeah, I think even the process is very tedious and lengthy, and the contracts are very complicated. And an author who's not necessarily a legal entity wouldn't probably understand that. And I feel personally, I've been approached a lot of times for my book rights, and I end up saying no because they want everything. Okay, how fair do you think that is? And I don't know what kind of contract you did or what others are doing, but how fair is it that filmmakers or OTT platforms want all your rights for perpetuity? How does one deal with something like that?
I think one of the things is that if you want to be a full-time author, adaptation or screen rights is one of the ways of making a living. You get a lot of money. And I'd say that a director very long ago, Sriram Raghavan, actually had told me once, he said, if somebody is asking for your book, give it. Okay? option it or whatever it is. Take the money, because that's the only way you can continue to fund yourself. See, even if I sell 20,000 books or 30,000 books or 40,000 books, I'm still not going to be able to make a living on that. Now, as far as the process is concerned, yeah, it's a little tedious. You need to be, able to understand what exactly they're asking from you. But I think as an author, and here I'd say that don't, depend upon agents too much. Read your own contracts, iron out things, and basically be ready for the long haul. It took me almost every contract that I've signed, optioning or purchase of rights, assignment of rights completely. It has taken me almost 3 months to finalize each of them. Because there's a lot of to and fro. They are going to ask you the world. They're going to say, give this, give that, give this thing. For example, I'll tell you one thing. I had a long standoff with, Geo Studios about Inspector Saralkar character. I said, Inspector Saralkar, his subordinate Motkar, and his wife Jyoti, these characters are mine.
Yeah.
They cannot be yours. Yeah. So I will retain the rights to those characters. Yeah. Because the thing is, tomorrow, with if these characters also go to you, you'll make a story on your own. Right. That kind of thing.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me actually with the Cosmic Clues and Stellar Signs. It's a series.
Yeah.
So I have Sonia Samartha as a detective who solves cases with the help of astrology, which is absolutely original. It has never happened in literature before. They wanted to take one book and they said, we don't want the other books. What does that actually mean? That they will create backstories for my character and turn into whatever, but pay me only for one book and not pay me for the rest of my series.
Right.
But my rest of the series will suffer because this is another entire thing happening on one side. So they do that all the time.
Absolutely. But for example, in my case, Geo Studios was extremely fair to me. The other thing is that I had a lot of good backing from Sovat Bhave, who basically was interested in it. So he also, when he approached Geo Studios, he said that you take 2 or 3 of his books. Otherwise, you take one book, what is he going to do? So Geo Studios has outright purchased 3 of my books.
Oh, that's good.
From the Inspector Saralkar series. So that I think is something that worked for me. It worked out basically because Geo Studios was quite willing to discuss it with me.
So just a quick question: does that mean that because you retained the Saralkar character copyright or whatever the intellectual IP, does that mean that you continue to write on Saralkar with the character, or does that mean that they have it all on you have to take their permission?
No, absolutely not. That also I made clear in my contract very clearly that I will continue to publish Saralkar books on my own with any publisher that I choose to.
Yeah.
The only thing they have asked me in return is that the right of first refusal. That every time I write a new Saralkar book, I should offer it to them.
First, yeah.
Do you want to make a film, an OTT, a web series or whatever it is on that? And if they refuse within a certain time, there's a 6-month period which is given, 2-month period which is given. If they refuse it, then I can give it outside to anyone. So
that's
the
good.
Inspector Saralkar character also remains with me. They cannot write anything separately on Saralkar.
No, I think that's a fair way, because I did the same for Sonia Samarth. I said she stays with me, her assistant stays with me.
Absolutely.
The modus operandi stays with me, because no one can write more stories using astrology to solve cases. But they refused me those rights.
You should actually point out to them, internationally speaking,
yeah,
nobody can say that I'm going to write on Sherlock Holmes or
exactly.
Pyro, etc.
Yeah.
While the authors were alive, nobody could do that. Yeah. Even today, you have to take permission
yes,
to write that. So it's your creation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even there are so many. I just saw a movie recently called Marlowe. Yeah. A movie called Marlowe. Okay. Philip Marlowe was a character created in the 1940s. Okay, 1930s, 1940s. So it's not as if they can, simply go and steal the character and do it. They require permission. They have to pay the authors or the author's descendants, that kind of a thing. So all this is happening, and I think I don't know which entity did this, but I think you need to bring this to their notice. Of course, in my case, it worked. I'm not sure that, you can always do that sometimes.
No, I think sometimes you were lucky, I would say, because I've been dealing with this and I'm really fed up, honestly. But a good example of this is the Agatha Christie adaptation series that's happening. I mean, they've got a whole franchisee and the grandson is looking after it. And despite so much content, yeah, I want to ask you about this too. Despite so much Indian content already available, we have a filmmaker who goes right back and takes more Agatha Christie novels to adapt. What do you want to say about this Western and Indian content? How would I say the kind of constant conflict about it?
I think I'd say to a certain extent it's unfortunate. I have learned to live with it. I think I write much better than about half the, I in the sense, even you. We write much better than even half the international authors. And we write about India, that kind of a thing. So I don't know how you can how you can make readers read your stuff. I think to a certain extent publishers too are to blame, because are publishers doing enough to push Indian authors, except for a few names. The moment you sit back you think of, okay, Chetan Bhagat, you can Ashwin Sanghi, Ravi Subramaniam, that kind of thing, Amish, this thing. Apart from that, do you know a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th Indian author? Are they bestsellers? For example, my books are national best-selling books. Okay, what is a national bestseller? Does anyone know in India what is bestseller? How many copies need to be sold to be a bestseller? Okay, national bestseller is 10,000 copies.
Yeah.
Okay, now 10,000 copies is what? For example, if my book is 250 rupees book, the author will get 10%, 25 rupees. 25 into 10,000, how much is that? 2,50,000. 2,50,000 over a certain point in time. And look at the kind of bestsellers that you have in other countries, that kind of thing. So, I think, readers also need to get into this. As far as filmmakers are concerned, again, sorry to say this and I'm not generalizing it, but how many filmmakers read?
I agree.
How many filmmakers read books? I am surprised. Somebody was one day asking me, we want to purchase rights of the Sane Psychopath for me. Incidentally, Sane Psychopath has also been optioned again. Somebody was asking, we want to purchase rights of Sane Psychopath. So I said, fine. Okay, we want you to pitch it to us. I said, pitch it to us? You want to purchase rights? Yeah, absolutely. So, but our director is here, the person who is going to make the film, why don't you pitch it to him? So I said, fine. The first question I asked during this is, have you read the book? The director says, no. I know the plot, but I've not read the book. Why? You want to make a film on this? You're thinking of adapting it, and you have not read the book. Why? No, why don't you explain it to us? So the onus is again on me that I should sort of sell. I don't want to sell. I have written the book. Read it. Pick it up if you like it. And that kind of a thing. What the hell do you mean that I am supposed to sell it? So that is one more thing. Thirdly, adaptation. How many screenwriters know how to adapt a book in India? So that again is something that needs to be really checked out. Okay, all over the world and including in India, people don't want writers to write screenplays. Okay, they say that for adapting the book, we will use a professional screenwriter who's not you. Okay, we'll get somebody else to do it. You can be a consultant. We'll pay you a certain amount for consultancy, etc., etc. But nahin. So this again also confuses me. Okay, I happen to have an FTII background. So okay, I know scripting as well as this thing. I was lucky. But most people even today, they tell me, "Saab, aapka kitab le lete, aapki kahani le lete." But we will get it done from. Why? Because again there are camps. So there is this camp and that camp, and they have their own writers. So in such conditions, it is really surprising. It's not very surprising that so many books are just not getting adapted, because I don't know if these people even know how to adapt the books. And this again is, I'm not looking down upon anyone. Screenwriters come up with excellent stuff. but are they equipped to translate books, to adapt books, and do they read? Do authors? Do directors read books? And there was this Kaigo Higashino book, Jane Ja. Okay, no, it was completely Indianized, so good. But one of the things that I always feel, why can't you make something on an Indian novel? I'm sure there's a good Indian novel out there.
No, and coming back to Agatha Christie, the point that I keep thinking of is this book of hers, And Then There Were None. I saw it, the first version of that book I saw when I was a child in 1965.
Yes.
Okay, that was, what is it, Gumnam, right?
Gumnam.
Gumnam, yeah. Since then, there have been 4 adaptations, at least, even in Hindi.
Right.
And yet, we are still doing adaptations of the same writer. I mean, I love Agatha Christie, no disrespect to her. You know, I think she is the queen of crime. But come on, we are in India, we have good writers here. We are still going back to same old Agatha Christie, who is like, she's already been done and redone. Why don't you give other authors a chance? Why don't you give other books a chance? And then it all boils down to this.
Absolutely. I mean, I always wonder, forget about Indian writers writing in English. What about Indian writers writing in regional languages? How many of them get adapted? How many of them do you pick up stories? So, my question to the film industry general is, and again, this thing, do you read books? Do you read Indian books Indian authors in English? Do you read Indian authors in Indian languages? You should look at it. Asking the audience, do you remember any Indian book, famous Indian book, which has been adapted for screen? I'll tell you.
I know one. Guide. Yeah.
Guide. That was 50 years ago.
I know. And that's the only one that comes to mind even today.
Even today. I mean, the thing is, Guide is still something, and Devanand not only made Guide in Hindi, he made it in English too. It didn't work, but he did that. Can you think of a second book? Sorry? Three Idiots. Okay. But again, it was adapted, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they have. But again, for that matter, in Marathi industry, for example, if you take Simhasan is Mumbai Dinank. Okay, Arun Sadhu. At that point in time, I'm saying, just think of the number of books.
The ratio is so poor.
It's so poor.
Yeah.
And why? No idea. I mean, I'm sure that directors earlier used to read a lot. But still, I used to get very fascinated by this Psycho. How many of you know that Psycho is actually based on a book?
Turned into Hindi films.
Some of them, yeah.
Some
Daag.
of them were.
Daag, for
books.
example. Kati Batan.
Ajnabi, Do Ajnabi, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those kind of books.
Absolutely, you're right. Yeah, so I was saying, how many of you know that the film Psycho was based on a book? And basically, Hitchcock read it on a transatlantic flight.
Yeah.
And when he landed in London, he said that we are purchasing rights of this book. And he told the studio that I want to do this in black and white.
Yeah.
And that time color had just come in. So studios were saying, what the hell are you talking about? That kind of thing. So again, Hitchcock had read a book.
Yeah. Or even Birds. Birds was on a short story by Daphne du Maurier. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Even Patricia Highsmith's Strangers on a Train.
Yes.
These are all books. Rear Window, based on a book.
Yeah.
All these are famous books.
Yeah, so they don't read. Our conclusion for this. But your 2 serials are they've already been made based on 2 books.
No, basically, Murder Milestone is my 4th book in the Inspector Saralkar series. Geo Studios, we have made season 1 and 1.5 on that. So totally 11 episodes, 6 in the first, 5 in 1.5. All these are ready. These have been ready from April last year.
Okay, and when are they going to be released?
It was supposed to be released in September. Last year at PILF, I sat here in the other this thing, and I showed the trailer to people, and I said, okay, this is going to come, and I was stuffed completely. This is going to be released this year, that kind of a thing.
And
Now
you're
we
still waiting.
I'm at another pilf, but we have still not done that. Okay, why this time? Because I think they've sold the this thing to Geo Cinema. So Geo Cinema is a different company. So Geo Studios have sold it to Geo Cinema, and so it's all. I have no idea when it's going to be, but now every month I'm told. I think mostly another 2 months later it'll come. But fine. I mean, maybe they have some. They have.
But
one
it
thing
is
is
so
there.
frustrating.
It's frustrating. I have written. I have been lucky to write the screenplay of this one also. The entire. I wrote a 9-episode screenplay, which then further became 11-episode screenplay. That kind of a thing. So, I'm just waiting. It's like my everybody at home or friends, etc. Everything, the first thing, Salil, काय झालं? What happened? I mean, it's as if, I feel, why did I tell these guys? That kind of a thing. So it's ready. I don't know why. Money has been spent. It's great of Geo Studios to have done this. Geo Cinema, Geo Studios, that kind of a thing. Subodh Bhave, also I'd like to again and again say.
But have you seen it?
I've seen it.
You've seen the whole series?
I have seen 5 episodes.
You've seen 5 episodes?
I have seen 5 episodes. Beyond that, I have not seen because they've been. We really never got around to getting together and seeing the.
And did you like what you saw?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm glad that I was able to translate it on screen and make about 30 to 35% difference to the original story. And not the original story,
not too much.
but the way
that's okay, doable.
that kind of a thing. So I did that. I'm quite happy with that, and it's to my mind it's turned out to be something which I always feel, a certain slickness and a certain darkness that I feel that one of the films that I always have enjoyed is Zodiac, for example, and I feel that something like this we've been able to bring out. Whether finally the audience likes it or feels the same is a different thing, but that's the way it is.
But you know what happens if the director's vision of the book and your vision of the book doesn't match? What will happen to the author in that case?
I don't take it too much to heart. I'll tell you why. Because Sane Psychopatha was first given to Endemol. Okay, Endemol in 2019. So Endemol took it, and I said, by the way, do you know that Sane Psychopath I have written first as a screenplay? The screenplay is ready with me. So, okay, bring along the screenplay, that kind of thing. So, rights of the book were taken, etc., and I then went and tried to present them the screenplay. They had a look at the screenplay. No, I think we will not be taking. I said, but it's perfect. No, I've got the creative producer said that no, we have got different ideas. And then they got a foreign writer, Siddharth. If Siddharth was here, he would have told you because he was the one who arranged for the writers. A foreign writer and an Indian writer, they collaborated and wrote the screenplay, and I read the screenplay, and I was quite devastated by what they had done to it, and that kind of, because it's based on a true story which happened in India, in Pune, that kind of a thing. But then I thought, I've got plenty of money for this book. Should I really sort of try and say that, look, this is a terrible thing, because after all, the director is involved, there's a creative producer involved, there's a script writer involved, and maybe they are right. So, but of course, that finally never hit the screen. It never really sort of went into production. The good thing is, now again, the same thing has happened. They've again optioned my book. Somebody else has optioned my book. And now again, they told me the same thing. Screenplay hum likh lenge.
Yeah, I know it's very frustrating because I feel although they are two separate media, book is a different thing and a film is a different thing, the author should be given an opportunity to adapt it. Because the author does know the book in and out, and every word and every angle, every character, who better than the author, right?
Yeah, again, I'd just like to share, I don't know how interesting it is to people. The thing is that the way directors speak to you is also very different. So this thing is, my first scene is going to be like that. So this as an author never first comes to your mind. As an author you look at it completely differently. So why do you want to bring this up front right at the beginning? Because of a particular reason. Plus OTT has also developed a particular standard format, a template. You have to have a hook at this particular place, you have to have a hook at this particular minute,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So all that goes into it, and I think sometimes it's a little tedious. I think some of these screenplay writers or people who write web series or series, I think they know the technique a little better than you in that sense. So I learned while writing this particular thing.
But so now, how long are you going to wait, or what's going to be your journey like in waiting for your serial to come out?
I have no idea. This is an answer which I find very difficult to answer. And I mean, last pill fight declared, okay, 23 mein ye aa raha hai, and Salil Desai is going to sort of be famous for whatever, that kind of thing. But it's not happened. So maybe this year at 24, I don't see any sense in them delaying it further, because after all it's created at a particular point in time, so it should be released now. But then who knows? And let's hope it happens at the earliest. But this is true about many this thing also. My another short story of mine, The Perfect Day, was sold last year. So again, it's bus. That's it. Now the producer has put in money. They've given me money. It's not as if that money is anything is held back. It's there. As far as Sane Psychopath is concerned, good. I mean, one thing that I think it's helped authors, in the sense that because of this optioning process, the thing is, even if you get 20 to 30% upfront, and then they retain the rights for about a year or year and a half, the thing is that as an author, since you get the rights back, if it's not taken further, I think an author can re-option it to somebody else. So that makes helps you.
Provided somebody wants it.
Yeah, I mean, difficult. I'd say that I've been a little lucky. Yeah.
So since we're talking about money, can you just give us a broad range of the kind of money an author can make, not what you've received, but a broad range of money that an author can make from an adaptation? Let's, for example, just the optioning rights.
What they do is optioning is they give you the whole value. Okay, they tell you that okay, if we buy or purchase the book outright, we'll pay you say between 20 to 25 lakh rupees. It depends. Okay, the price is in fact slid down right now. In 2017, 2018, it was sort of going up. That kind. So 20 to 25 lakh rupees is what they'll tell you. And then they will say that we will give you 20%, 30%. So your first this thing is, you want an option, how long do you want it? Okay. So your first sort of negotiation has to be 1 year or 1.5 years. You try to reduce the period. That is one. The next negotiation is 20% or 30%. I have always negotiated for 30%. Because I am saying that you're keeping the book. You're keeping it for 1.5 years. After 1.5 years, I have lost out on my chance. Yeah. For example, if tomorrow, after you have optioned it, 3 months later, some other producer says, I want to purchase this book, I have lost my chance. So that
because they take exclusive right of representation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Other trick that some producers, younger producers try, and which you shouldn't fall for, is that they say ki, sir, aap aisa kijiye, we will keep it only for 2 months, but you let us pitch it on your behalf. So this is something you shouldn't do, because unless and until you get any money, don't allow anyone to pitch it for you.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very dangerous.
Do you have, since with all this experience now, do you have a checklist for authors or anybody who wants to pitch a novel to anybody? Follow this and don't follow this, like a broad guideline? I don't know about. Many authors have agents. Okay, so the thing is that's complicated things a lot. These days what happens is that most authors, even first-time authors, go to agents. There are certain agents in the market. Now the thing is that the agent will swing the deal for you. But whether the agent is doing a good job is something that you have to decide after a point in time. Okay, whether this is really this is good for you, because agents take 20% of whatever is the deal value, that kind of a thing.
So people with agents, I don't know. I mean, uh, my suggestion to them is please don't feel obligated to your agent. I see a lot of authors thanking my agent, my this thing, my I was. Yeah, he's doing something fine, but you have written it, so you don't have to be thankful to anyone. I mean, overwhelmingly grateful to anyone. So that is one. Secondly, many times agents say that ये लेना पड़ेगा. I have gone through this. By the way, one agent, I don't have an agent as such. So one agent had approached me. So he was very weird. He told me, okay, this is the deal I've got you. I said, wait, there's some negotiation, that kind of. What I have said is I have done. Abhi wo lena padega. When you agreed to for me to represent you, this is it. So this is very weird. Don't
Very
get into that,
dominating, yeah.
that kind of a thing. The other thing is for for people who, for authors who don't have agents and want to sort of pitch it. I think keep an eye on all these word to screen events. For example, again, Mumbai International Festival had a word to screen event after 4 years in 2023. They had this event right now. Similarly, there are other agents, other festivals, etc., which have these word to screen events. So, try and pitch over there. How do you pitch? Basically, create a tagline. First of all, understand what you are trying to do. Your book may be great, lovely. The point is, why is it cinematographic material? Why is it material which needs to be adapted? So I think that is something that you need to think about while, all the authors out here, if there are any authors out here, that basically you need to look at this and try to give them an idea of why your book is great. That kind of thing. The other thing is that while negotiation, as I said, take a time. Don't think that you're going to lose out on something.
That's important.
Yeah,
That's very
we
authors are always in haste.
And this happens to me.
Yeah.
I'm an extremely impatient person. But the thing is, I sort of grip myself and say, wait.
I remember in one Lit Fest, I think Anand Neelkantan was sitting because he's done the Bahubali thing. And one author got up and said, please tell me how to sell my adaptation rights. I'm willing to give all my rights for free. I just want a film made on my book. Now this is kind of a kind of crazy frenzy about wanting your book on screen, and I think that's where authors do suffer.
Yeah, I think one thing
from
that
a bad bargain.
Absolutely, this they even do with publishers. Forget about with screen adaptations. People do mistakes with
new authors also do this with publishers. I agree.
The thing is that author, publisher, everybody, or even the agent tells you, "Arey, you make a reel and put it. Arey, it costs money, and are you sure that it's going to help you sell your book?
Yeah.
Arey, take 500. There are every day. I'm sure Manjiri also has. Every day I get mails from some bookstagrammer or Instagrammer or some guy saying that I will give you mass reviews, 500, 1,000, that kind of a thing per review. Don't fall into these traps. I mean, if 500 people write good things about your book, which is purchased by you, what is there any merit in it?
Yeah.
Come on, it's like rewarding yourself and saying that wow, मैं कितना great हूँ. So
and hoping others will reward you too.
Will reward you.
Yeah.
They won't.
Yeah.
Finally, you have to sort of hold on to your horses.
Yeah. So let's open it. We have just 9 minutes left. So any quick questions? Yeah. We have a mic for him, please. Any volunteer? Yeah.
Hi. So I'm about to start my first book actually. So I just
hold
wanted
it close.
to know. Yeah. So I just and I want that ultimately it should be adopted on screen or OTT or any medium. So I should write from the angle of writing a book, or I should write from the angle of writing a, say, film that can be adopted. The whole.
If your end goal, if your end objective is that it should be made into a film, then why don't you actually write a screenplay? Write a screenplay and get it registered with the Screenwriters Association. It's very easy. It's online, the entire process. So write a screenplay. Now, your problem could be that you don't know the technicalities of writing a screenplay. In which case, if you want to write a book, then try to make it as visual as possible. Okay? So it's like if you want to say your first scene is you want to show somebody about to commit suicide or something like that. So then, show it that way. A man is looking down below. It's pitch dark, that kind of thing. So write it that from that point of view. I think it's if your end objective is to write, have your writing be, to be made into a film or something like that. Today you've got lots of software which allow you to write a screenplay. It's damn easy. I mean, if you practice on it. So my suggestion.
I think you should decide whether you want to write a book or a script. Very simple.
Absolutely.
Because if you're writing a book, you're writing a book. You may see it visually, but it will still be a book. And when it comes to screen, you'll have to. Now, I've heard this a lot of times, and I've done it myself too when I've tried to adapt. When you're adapting your own book also, you just have to keep the book aside.
Absolutely.
You cannot refer to it. You can only refer to the plot. Because the book is written in a very different way from a script. So ask yourself what you really want to do. Is it a book or a film?
Okay, thanks. And one another question. What's your opinion on the usage of AI? I mean, like Chat GPT and stuff, to write script, because it's a very huge issue abroad. I mean, there was a strike for I guess 2 or 3 months where writers didn't write for any movie.
I personally I'm not interested in AI at all, and I've never used it. I don't think it's a particularly good idea as of now. But call me old-fashioned in some way. But I've never done this. There has to be certain originality in what you do, and I think finally I think all creators, anybody who wants to create something, has to ask themselves this important question. Whether you want artificial intelligence to do some work for you, and if so, why? I mean, then where is your creativity in the whole thing? That kind of thing. So I think that's the.
Yeah, someone behind there? Yeah.
सॉरी, माझी इंग्लिश फार चांगली नाही, त्यामुळे मी मराठीत
नाही, बोला,
बोलतो.
बोला, बोला.
तर मला असं म्हणायचं की समजा दुसऱ्या कोणाचं तरी पुस्तक आहे, ते आपल्याला ॲडॉप्ट करायचं आहे, तर त्या स्क्रीनप्ले रायटरकडे कुठली बेसिक कौशल्य असली पाहिजेत ते ॲडॅप्ट करण्यासाठी. आणि दुसरं असं की तुम्हाला काय कारणं वाटतात की मगाशी जी तुम्ही म्हणालात की फार काही आपण सांगू शकलो नाही की रिजनल पुस्तकांवर आधारित सिनेमे, तर फार यादी आली नाही, आम्ही मगाशी डिस्कस केलं तर फार आम्हालाही सुचली नाहीत. तर याची काय कारणं असतील की म्हणजे लेखक म्हणून आपण थोडेसे रिजिड आहोत का खूपच कमी पे मिळतं आहे आपल्याला, का लेखक म्हणून आपल्याला ते त्याचं इम्पॉर्टन्स कळत नाही की कदाचित ती पडद्यावर आल्यानंतर आणखी या पुस्तकाला उठाव मिळू शकतो किंवा काय. तर असे माझे 2 प्रश्न आहेत.
दुसरा जो तुमचा प्रश्न आहे, आय होप यू डोंट माइंड इफ आय आन्सर इन मराठी. दॅट वुड बी सिन्स ही इज आस्किंग इन मराठी. तुमचा दुसरा जो प्रश्न आहे तो मी प्रोड्युसर्सबद्दल बोललो किंवा डायरेक्टर्सबद्दल बोललो की म्हणजे ते वाचतात का? ती लोक जर पुस्तकं वाचत नसतील तर मग ह्याचं पोटेन्शियल आहे की नाही सिनेमा बनवायचा किंवा सिरियल बनवायचा, हे कसं कळणार? सो तो जो प्रश्न आहे तो डायरेक्टर्स आणि प्रोड्युसर्सच्या बद्दल आहे, तो लेखकांबद्दल नाही आहे. लेखक कसं काय, म्हणजे लेखक असं म्हणू शकतात की हां माझं पुस्तक खूप चांगलं आहे, तुम्ही बघा, पण ते वाचण्यासाठी डायरेक्टर आणि प्रोड्युसर्स आहेत त्यांनी पुढाकार घ्यायला पाहिजे ना. फॉर एक्झाम्पल आता सुबोध भावेचं बद्दल मी म्हटलं, सुबोधने माझी पुस्तकं वाचली होती. निखिल साने म्हणून जो जिओ स्टुडिओजचा जो क्रिएटिव्ह प्रोड्युसर आहे, त्यांनी माझी पुस्तकं वाचली होती म्हणून त्यांना त्याच्यातलं पोटेन्शियल लक्षात आलं किंवा ते टूक अ डिसिजन. पण असे किती लोक आहेत? दुसरा पहिला जो तुमचा प्रश्न होता की स्क्रीनप्ले लिहिण्यासाठी, एखाद्या पुस्तकावरच्या आधारित स्क्रीनप्ले लिहिण्यासाठी काय कौशल्य लागतं, तर आय विल से की बेसिकली अगेन रीडिंग. ओके, दॅट तुम्हाला पुस्तक वाचणं हे तुम्हाला आवडायला पाहिजे. मग ते पुस्तक वाचल्यानंतर तुम्हाला काय त्याच्यातलं सगळ्यात महत्त्वाची गोष्ट आहे हे लक्ष द्यायला पाहिजे आणि वेदर ते स्क्रीनवर कशा प्रकारे प्रेझेंट करता येईल वाईल स्टिकिंग ॲज क्लोज टू द काय म्हणतात स्टोरी ॲज पॉसिबल. पुस्तक किती जवळ हाऊ क्लोज यू कॅन बी टू द बुक हे बघणं फार गरजेचं आहे. आता इट्स लाईक दिस, मी तुमच्याशी इंग्लिशमध्ये काही काही गोष्टी जास्ती बऱ्या म्हणू शकतो, म्हणजे हाऊ क्लोज टू द बुक. हेच मी मराठीत सांगण्याचा प्रयत्न केला तर मला थोडा विचार करायला लागतो. तर तसं स्क्रीन प्ले आणि पुस्तकाचं सुद्धा तेच आहे. हे मी पुस्तकात लिहून गेलो, स्क्रीन प्ले मी याच्यावर कसा लिहायचा, हे कसं दाखवायचं, मी हा माणूस विचार करतोय, काय विचार करतोय हे कसं दाखवणार तुम्ही? तुम्ही कुठला डिव्हाइस वापरणार आहात? तुम्हाला त्या विचारांमधलं पुस्तकात तुम्हाला पॅसेजचे पॅसेज लिहिता येतात, तिथे तुम्हाला थोडक्यात दाखवायला लागतं की ह्याचा नेमका विचार काय चालू आहे.
One last question. Yeah. Is the mic on?
Yeah. Good evening. I just wanted to know, as you said, you cannot, I mean, you should not go through a person when you're going for pitching your book. So, if as an individual, if you go, it's a jungle.
Can you speak up a bit loudly?
Yeah, I was just like he said that you don't go through a person like you have who can pitch for your book. They can take you for a ride. But as an individual, if I go, it's a jungle where of producers or directors who can take, your book. So how, I mean, whom do we approach and where do we approach?
No, I think you misunderstood me. I said, there are agents. Many
but those
authors
agents,
have
suppose
agents
you don't
already.
go through an agent.
No,
then.
I am saying that don't go through an agent as in don't jump to an agent first. Try to evaluate what deal the agent is, sort of negotiating for you.
Okay.
Don't blindly jump into it. If somebody says, I am going to give you, see, this producer is interested in taking the book at 10 lakh rupees, I think you should go for it. No, I think you should think about it.
Okay.
Whether 10 lakh is the right value that is being offered to you, and whether the agent is, actually negotiating well enough for you. That is something that you need to. I am not criticizing agents at all.
No.
Agents are doing their
What
job.
I'm saying is, if in case suppose we don't want to go through an agent,
That's
then
what I had said. I had answered
so
that question.
how do we
How do
approach?
you pitch directly?
Yeah. So the thing is, as I said, you need to, sort of look at things like word to screen. There are contests. Okay. You can send in your, book to, for example, Mumbai International Film Festival. Okay. Now, either ask your publishers don't do much, but you can push your publisher to sort of pitch the book to certain producers or to certain festivals. So I think you need to pay attention to those kind of things. Okay, where is the festival? Is there for example, there are various bodies which come up with this screenplay competitions. Now, is your story something that can be adapted into a screenplay? So try and adapt it and send it there. Sometimes they first ask you only for a synopsis. So send in the synopsis. Basically create material and start approaching people. It is not easy. It is not easy. But the thing is that you have to try and make opportunities for yourself. And one of the ways to do it, as I said, is look at these word to screen events which have started happening in many places. It happens in Goa, if I'm not mistaken. Goa International Film Festival.
NFDC Bazaar, no? Yeah, NFDC, yeah.
Does that. So it's called a script lab. Okay, so you have to go there. You have to picture this thing. I don't know. So it would also be a good idea for many of you people to simply become associate members of Script Writers Association. Script Writers Association is an association of anybody who wants to tell a story and wants to register their story or script.
Yesterday only, SW announced contest,
Script contest, yesterday.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So become that, because then you get notifications. That's so and so competition is happening. Do you want to? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this is the only way to start and get noticed. Other thing is, what happened with me. I mean, basically you write a series. Since I wrote a series, it got noticed, that kind of thing.
Anyway,
Thank
that's
you.
it. That's a wrap for this session. Thank you so much, Salil. I think it was a brilliant session.
Thanks.
You gave them real practical, down to earth, and solutions, and also a clear idea of what the world of adaptations is. Thank you so much. I'm sure it's going to be very useful for everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Manjiri,
everyone.
and thanks, Pune
Thank you.
International. Thank you, everyone.